Hey everybody, Chris here. Is Dogecoin showing signs of recovery? We're going to talk about that in this video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when my new videos come out, as well as when I do live streams. We were live Friday evening. We were looking at whether this market is looking like this mini bear. Do we have this mini bear market, which is really just a big pullback? When you zoom out, you see a bigger trend that could still be up. That's right, we could still be up. Or the 4-year cycle's completely blown, and we're going to extend into 2026 with a super cycle, extended cycle, whatever that's called. Or is it all just going lower and we are deep into a bigger bear market? All of those options are out there. And what does that mean with Dogecoin and signs of recovery for Doge? Let's get into it. Let me show you the charts in the news. I'll show you what I'm looking at. And we start here looking at the current Dogecoin chart. We're at 13.6 cents. That's right, 13s. And we are bouncing around sideways right at this level, like we talked about on the live stream yesterday. But I refuse to draw a brown box here. I refuse to do it. I don't want to encourage all of this sideways trading in the 13s. Not yet. If we zoom out, we will see that, we've got the red box up here. We got to get above 15 cents and get back into the red box. And of course, we zoom out more, we have the purple box. This purple box was from the October 10th flash crash, trading sideways for almost a month within this. I was just using these as visual cues to show what was happening with the trading following this big flash crash from October 10th. And then when that purple box failed, I drew a red box, sideways trading there, and that trading actually went from about the 3rd of November until the 20th of November. So almost 3 weeks of trading there. I refuse to draw the brown box. I want to see Dogecoin get back up, but there is also the chance that Doge could drop further. The flash crash on most exchanges, Doge came down to 9.5 cents. So that 9.5 cent tail or wick down does seem to be a target. Of course, on the Bitcoin chart, well, at least on Binance, it only went down to 1095. 1095, and of course, Bitcoin has failed and traded much, much lower due to all the leverage trading. We'll talk about that as well. So $83,700 right now for Bitcoin, while Doge is at 13.6. We do one quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, and it's kind of trading around sideways underneath its purple box, right around 59%. So not much movement in Bitcoin dominance, as overall the alts and Bitcoin are doing about the same thing right now. As this is a Saturday, there's a lot of reflection going on, and I'm going to talk about that for a minute. This guy, Mr. PK, looking at Washagoria, Titan of Crypto, saying, look, I've been following you for years. You've always seen Bitcoin as an uptrend. It's always been going up. Yeah, not always, right? But it has been overall on an uptrend if you zoom out. And this is one of the first big downtrends in many years. And Washagoria says, look, thanks for noticing. I kept my view until mid-October. The market changed, so I adapted. Some didn't like it. The market decides. And so, for those who are criticizing me, I'm saying, look, I'm not the only one. That October 10th flash crash changed everything on my outlook. I became more bearish, right? Trying to figure out what was going on with the market, but I did lose my whole bullish outlook in the short term. Overall, Dogecoin is still structurally fine, just like Bitcoin is structurally fine. Bitcoin is the same Bitcoin today as it was early October when it was 126,000. Now it's down to 83. It's still the same Bitcoin. Nothing has changed there. It's just the market and how the market was affected by the big flash crash. Also, for those who are complaining that Chris sold on all his followers, right? Dumped on his followers, paper hands. Look, here's another example. This is Amy. I don't expect anyone to congratulate me, but I took some profits I had from Bitcoin and paid off every cent of debt from my 81-year-old family business. A commitment I made to my mom and dad. It took 30 years. I promised I would take care of it all. The debt is gone. I told everyone what my plan was this cycle, right? I told my story of in the past when I was deep in debt and how I worked, how I did, second jobs or, had my own side businesses, and I worked my way out of all of that small-term debt, from credit card debt to paying off car, get my student loans paid off, right? I got all of that stuff paid off. Then I was working on getting the house paid off and what I would do to get there. And that took investing a heavy amount into cryptocurrency. And then back in January, again, I took my first slice a year ago when Dogecoin is at 42 cents. And then back in January, sold almost all the rest of my alts, plus a chunk of Dogecoin, yes, in order to be financially free. And that I achieved that goal. Crypto allowed me to do that. And I'm very thankful of that. If you don't have similar outlooks, right, and similar goals, what are you doing? I don't know. But I reached my goal. I told everybody I was doing it. I did it. Doesn't mean that I don't think crypto is going to go higher. And, if Dogecoin's $1.50, right, next year, will I regret selling when I did? No, because I reached my goal. And we should all have goals. Just like Amy had a goal here. She didn't paper hand Bitcoin. She reached her goal. Mine was the same. We have other reflections going on. Scott Melker, we have a few technical signals that have only happened in bear markets, which would indicate the bottom is nowhere close. A break of the weekly 50 moving average, bearish monthly MACD cross. On the flip side, we have a classic 30% drawdown, maturing asset class, and endless fundamental tailwinds. Choose your fighter. So, what he's looking at here is the market could still go either way, depending on what you look at. And we'll look at those in a minute. Meanwhile, Nick is like, look, this is how I see it now. We broke below the 50-week moving average. Historically, that hasn't been a quick V-shaped recovery. There is strong value here if you believe in the long-term thesis, but you also have to accept that price can drift lower before the structure turns bullish again. Short-term pain doesn't invalidate the macro case, but the chart still needs time. So you see, there's a lot of indecision right now. So those looking at me and saying, oh, Chris, your predictions are wrong. I'm like, look, it's happening across the board. And even these guys, these are big guys, they're still indecisive about where the market is going from here. There is a lot of uncertainty. What is causing that? There's extreme fear, right? We hit an all-time record for extreme fear yesterday at 10. All-time. The lowest ever recorded by CoinMarketCap. The lowest ever recorded. That's how bad the fear is. Bitcoin is still $82,000, $83,000 a Bitcoin, right? Much higher than all of the other extreme fears that we've had in the past, whether it was the beginning of 2025 or you go all the way back to 2022. We were last this deep in extreme fear just about when the Bitcoin price was $16,000. Now we're back and the price is $82,000 with the same fear. Just saying, that's progress. We look at the total, move up for the price of Bitcoin over the past few years, and it has been up and to the right. Yes, if you just focus in right here on this little slice of time, October into November, yeah, these are big red candles. And it's a big pullback. Now, ouch, Nick says, right? Not only did Bitcoin melt through the 50-week EMA, but we're also trading right below the 100-week EMA. This is the first time we are testing this level since the start of the cycle in 2023. Will we close the week below it tomorrow? There's 100. And then there's a 200-week, which is down here at like 55,000 that people are pointing to. Well, the 200-week EMA, we have to hit that, 55,000. That would be a complete bearish scenario. We don't know whether that's going to happen or not. Ash Crypto says, look, create the biggest liquidation event. Good job. October 10th. Now slowly dump to fill the wick. Amazing. Trigger quantum FUD and sailor selling FUD to cause bigger dump. Superb. Tell JP Morgan to publish a 6 weeks old news for triggering the next dump. Fantastic. Who is in charge of this market, right? The FUDders are out there, exchanges, market makers, and who else is like pulling all the strings on this, right? Whales, like big institutions, want to dump the market even lower, buy in low, so when Bitcoin and the markets go back up, they make more money. What does this have to do with you? What does this have to do with Dogecoin? I'm telling you, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with Dogecoin either. It's following the market. A little more volatile than Bitcoin, as Dogecoin tends to be, but that's what's happening in the market. The liquidations, of course, we look at the heat maps on our live streams. As Bitcoin dropped here on Friday, right, took out a bunch of leverage, right, and even dropped lower, down in the like the 82s here, right, took out a little more, hundreds of millions of dollars of leverage, and then, right, came back up, took out some new shorts, and now it's Saturday, it's the weekend, right, things are quieting down, kind of bouncing around sideways. Look at all the shorts out there, tons of shorts. Here's the view of it, right? This is where Bitcoin's price is now, this red arrow. Look to the right, all the shorts. This is the 30-day view. Look at the left. Not a lot of longs. That's where everything is. Eventually, this red line is going to move up as the price moves up and going to start taking out more of these shorts. But right now, still extreme fear in the market. The market makers know there are some new leverage trades coming in on the long side. They're going to take those out. Could be Monday night, or Sunday night, could be Monday morning. I'm expecting we're gonna wick down. We're gonna grab some of these, and then maybe we go higher. But we need some good positive news in the market to help move the price up, because the market makers themselves cannot move the price up $10,000 on Bitcoin just by itself, right? They need that good spark of news to come. Crypto Rover, however, says, look, Bitcoin is closing in on MicroStrategy's average buy price, which is right around 74,000. If Bitcoin comes down to 74,000, you're going to hear all of this MicroStrategy FUD again. The MicroStrategy stock is going to tank even more than it already has over the past couple weeks. So we're going to be watching for that, because that's kind of a big deal, and people are going to, that's more FUD that's going to be out there and more fear in the market. Bitcoin has seen a lot of consistent lower highs, grinding lower the past week. We zoom out and we just see as Bitcoin goes lower and lower and lower, it takes out all of that liquidation. But there's more that always comes in right there. You see that? There's more new that comes in. So there could be another wick down. We see that wick here. There could be another bigger wick that comes down to flush that out. Look at all the big, huge shorts up here. Giant, hundreds of millions of dollars up here. That's what's moving the market, my friends. Bitcoin, the last time, 5 times, the weekly RSI hit 35. Bitcoin was near the bottom. This is 35 RSI zoomed out, and this is on the weekly. On the weekly, yes, RSI is down. Early 2022, and then into that whole 22 bear market. We had 2020. We had 2018, huge bear market. However, the price of each of these is always higher. The Bitcoin price is always higher each time the RSI has come down to this level. That's a sign that we're bottoming out here, right? And whether it's a longer bear at this level in RSI or whether it's a short thing that comes back. We all know what happened in 2020, right? That was the COVID crash that happened, took RSI down, comes back up. Was that flash crash in October that we had? Is that like that? And we're going to bounce back up? Interesting. Overall, Dogecoin. Hey, Dogecoin appears on Wall Street, right? This is some good news. We did have this big billboard here in New York. This was the 21 shares 2x Dogecoin ETF, the one I don't like because it's a leverage thing, 2x. It's like, no, just give me the spot. Give me the spot, and that's coming Monday. Grayscale, Dogecoin, and XRP ETFs are set to launch Monday. That's right. Monday. Now, is this going to be a huge deal in terms of like causing the price to skyrocket? No, and I've been saying that. But this is a slow and steady thing. Of course, we've been watching the Bitcoin and ETH ETFs and a bunch of sell-offs that have been happening now because of all the fear in the market. Paper hands, right? But it's not BlackRock selling, right? And it's not ARK selling or Fidelity selling, right? Well, they do technically sell, but they only sell because the users, right, the buyers of those ETFs are selling. It's not like BlackRock is selling their own Bitcoin. It really isn't theirs. They're buying it on behalf of the ETF holders. That's how it works. That's how Grayscale will work as well. Grayscale's big time, though. There's this Rex Osprey thing, been trading for a couple months. They're B level, right? And this new 21 shares 2X thing, there's not going to be a lot of money put into that. Grayscale's big time, though. There's going to be another 21 shares ETF. There's going to be a Bitwise ETF. Those are coming. Those are coming. But this fundamentally exposes Dogecoin to a lot of new buyers coming in for Doge. Additionally, we've got this X money thing that's still out there. When X money launches, see, cryptocurrency payments are not going to be on it when X money first launches. And I've been saying that again and again. But the thought that that could potentially happen is enough that could get Dogecoin's price to pump. I've been saying that, been consistent about it. We know the Elon Musk ties to Dogecoin in the past. He's been very quiet about Dogecoin, although he's been giving us little hints, right? Little hints here and there. But if Dogecoin does eventually come onto X money, it will make it seamless for businesses to accept Dogecoin. X money will pioneer a payment system that bridges the gap to mainstream global Doge adoption. That is what is potentially out there for Dogecoin. That's why I think this X money thing is a big deal, and the X money account is still showing launching in 2025, and we're still here. I know the price is 13.6, right? I know it's down here. I'm not drawing a brown box. I want to get this back up to the red. But eventually next week, if Doge is still bouncing around at this level, yeah, I'll draw a brown box and we'll be tracking the sideways price again down here. Doesn't mean there couldn't be any more FUD that comes in and gives us another wick down or something like that. Sorry for the longer video today, a lot to cover, but you know, it's the weekend. People are doing some thinking about like what overall strategy means, and here we are now. So it's not what's happened in the past now, but what you can do and what you can plan on doing now for the future. That's where we are in this cycle, which is different than other cycles. Let me know what your thoughts are below. Give me a comment. Also give the video a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.